I'm in the production track, and I chose it because I wanted to get involved in video games, but I can't program really well, and I'm not a good artist, so production was the logical choice. After being here, though, I've figured out that yes, I'm a producer, but my talents lie towards the marketing side, so I'm kind of a marketing producer, I guess you'd say. I was in UCF for undergrad, digital media for 4 years, and when I started, I also found out that FIEA started that year. So when I was a freshman, all of a sudden there was this master's program designed specifically for the things I wanted to get into. And I looked at other schools like SMU, the Guildhall, and there was something out in Tempe, Arizona I was looking at, and Full Sail, and I realized, why should I go anywhere else but at UCF? I'm already a student. I can go straight into their grad program, and the more I learned about it, the more I fell in love with it, and I realized that this is exactly what I wanted, and it was sort of like a sign that it started the same year I started as an undergrad, so I figured that's where I've got to end up. I'm actually not on a project. There's 4 different teams right now, and there's also the central team, and I'm kind of floating out on my own. I'm doing a brand new marketing team, basically. Right now, we're not actually trying to market the games because we're not sure which ones are going to get cut. So we don't want to start marketing something that's going to be dead in 2 weeks. But right now, we're working on strategies as to how we're going to market games that aren't actually being sold, but getting in with companies that do market those kind of games, like 1UP and IGN. We're trying to get our games on there as sort of like a mock marketing simulator so that we can make sure that our games are doing things that fans would like. We're trying to get some feedback while we're developing so that the teams can better their games according to what people think. So if one feature's shown that all the marketing people that we're talking to think it's stupid, then we're going to get rid of that kind of feature, possibly. But also we want to give the people that are producing the games the chance to know what the hype is like for their game. So if we release screenshots of this and people think, oh wow, this is amazing, we know that they're on the right track, and this gives them the more real world sort of experience to see their game's hype while it's being produced, and so they know that they're not just making this for a class, that if they were actually making this for the market, that it would be successful or not. So it's something new that we're kind of trying out this semester. It's pretty much what I expected, although it's different to say, oh yeah, you're going to spend a lot of time here and you're going to pull some all-nighters and whatnot. And it registered in my mind, but until I actually pulled my first all-nighter and until I was actually here a lot, it didn't really make me realize that this is how it is. So once you get here, it's not like a shock, but it still is, because part of you is like, oh, it's not going to be as much work, and then you get here and it is, but it's still fun, I don't mind it. I'd say probably the one thing I wish I would have been warned about is that you really do have to take that commitment thing seriously. I was going home early a couple of nights, and teams, they really want you here. So FIEA becomes your second home, and I had heard that, but I didn't take it to heart, and I wish I would have. Now I'm doing that a little more, so things are getting easier to do, because you can work from home, sure, but it's better when you're all here in the same room, and so you can pop over to someone's desk and be like, hi, we need this, or what's going on. In undergrad, pretty much everything was group projects, and the problem with that was they were some of them were randomly assigned, and some of them we had to make our own groups. And the big problem in undergrad was you couldn't make your own groups based on knowing other people, because you didn't really know them, because you only had class once or twice a week, and you were only together for an hour or two maybe. Here, we get our groups assigned, so it's not like most of the time you don't pick or choose your teams on the bigger projects. You're given them, because we have to make sure we balance artists and programmers and producers. But because we spend so much more time together, it's a lot easier to work with people and know their strengths and their weaknesses and their boundaries. And so things are a lot more productive here than they were in undergrad, just because of the time we spend together. And just being, all of us are in this one area. It's not like, oh, they have class right here at this one time and then we'll never see them again unless we specifically say, yes, we have to meet up, and then you're trying to meet up off campus or somewhere. You don't have like a common area to really meet that you're always going to be. Whereas in FIEA, it's like, hey, let's go to the room down the hall. You know, we all don't have class right now. So it's much easier here to work in a group than it was in undergrad. When I first came in here for the degree, I was, okay, I'm going to be a game producer. And as I worked in the field a bit more, I realized that I'm not so suited as being a lead, because just I don't have the personality type to be as cutthroat as you kind of need to be. And then I was going to be a level designer, but you need a bit more of a technical sort of background to that, and I completely hate programming. And I knew I couldn't be anywhere near useful to the art teams, because you don't want to have producer art in a game ever. I mean, I might be able to help out with like rendering and such, but so my options were kind of limited by the end of the semester, and I kind of thought about it, and I was almost at the point where I was thinking of dropping out because I couldn't find a place for myself. And then we had a lecture one day on marketing, and I realized that I had worked 2 years in marketing for a real estate company. And it was always something that I'd been interested in, demographics and research and things like that. I'm a very research-oriented person, and I like to just find out how things connect to each other, as far as like, you know, the internet hype for a game ties directly to how successful it's going to be, things like that. And after that lecture, I like had an epiphany, and I realized I want to be a marketing person for video games. And I realized that the degree that I'm getting here is going to help me, because as I've heard in the industry, marketing teams usually don't have a very good knowledge of how games are put together. And so I figured having a degree in game development, well, interactive media, is going to help me in the fact that I can say, look, I know how the process works. I've been through it. So I'm going to have a better knowledge of what the teams are going through, and I'm not going to make unreasonable demands of them. I'm going to be more connected. And a lot of times teams try to hold the marketing people off. They don't want to talk to them, but they don't realize that that's basically what's getting their games sold and what's paying them their salary. So they have to work hand in hand, and I figured they'd be way comfortable working with someone that knew what was going on and knew where they were coming from, rather than someone who's just off the cuff, oh, I know how to do sales and stuff, but I don't know what goes into this game. I've only ever played Pong. You know, I'm a gamer, and I've now been through the program, so I've got a better knowledge of it, and I'm hoping that that kind of angle is going to really help with getting a job later on. This is probably going to be the weirdest answer, but my goal is to actually, I mean, I want to, just like everyone else, get in with a company, you know, get my name out there, get my name on a box somewhere, or, you know, credits at least. Since I'm going for marketing, I'd really like to see being able to say, you know, I was on the marketing team for, you know, the next World of Warcraft title or something, or the next Halo. So something big at least, but I'm not in it for the fame or anything. I'm actually, seriously, I want to make enough money to be able to retire early on and open up like a video game cafe or something, because I'm big into cooking. So my end goal is completely not really game development related at all, but it'll still keep the spirit of video gaming in there somehow. Sleep now. I'm sure everyone says that. No, honestly, just learn to pace yourself, because there isn't really so much. I mean, yes, there are times where you definitely need to stay here till 3, 4 a.m., but from what I've seen from the way people work, you really don't need to, and it is quite possible to have a life and be at FIEA as well. Some of the other people that don't know how to time manage may hate you for it, because you get to go home, but all your work's done. Although sometimes it's not an excuse, even if your stuff is done, you know, stick around, see if there's anything you can do to help, even if it's just as a morale booster. You know, it's like, hey, you know, you need me to go get you a soda or something while you're sitting here coding for 20 hours. But just don't let it scare you that people say they live here. I mean, it happens, but it's not the worst thing in the world, and it actually can be quite fun at 3 a.m. when you run out to IHOP for pancakes, you know, with everyone. So It's a real interesting environment, and just embrace that and make your mistakes now, because I know my first semester, I really learned a lot with what I did wrong, and now I'm trying to correct that, and it really gave me an opportunity to think about it from a real world perspective and be like, hey, if this is how it is in the industry, like FIEA is the industry basically, except I'm not worried about getting fired and this isn't going to affect my salary because I'm not making any money. So I can screw up now and not have to worry about it. And I realize, when I get into the real world, don't do what I did in the first semester because it's going to come back to bite me, that kind of stuff. So. I just got pressured into buying Mario Kart Wii. I was supposed to have bought it when it came out because my best friend who lives like 3 hours south from here did, and he's like, get it, get it, get it. And I said, no, I don't have the money right now. And then we get assigned a project to do basically pretend that this game's never been released and pitch it to an executive producer saying we want to make this. And my team picked Mario Kart Wii, and my one team member has it, and he's like, oh yeah, we can just sit at my desk and play it. And I'm like, well, I guess this is a sign that I need to go buy it. So I bought it, and now I've been playing the heck out of it. And I'm a huge Mario fan, so it's not like I wouldn't like it. So I have nothing better to say about it except it met my expectations and beyond. So good game.